Irwin can't be left alone. Look after him. Kelly nodded solemnly. Miss Haynes, don't worry. I'll take good care of him. Then I'll take my leave first. Goodbye, Miss Haynes. Joanna did not say anything else. She took her bag and left in a hurry. Bruce followed closely behind. Joanna arrived at the parking lot and reached for the car key in her pocket, only to realize that her car was still at the studio. Bruce was the one who sent her and Irwin to the hospital. Oh, Joanna frowned and resentfully put the car keys back into her bag. She was about to hail a taxi when a car stopped beside her. Get in. Bruce rolled down the window and looked at her casually. Joanna was stunned. Even though she didn't want to get into his car, she knew he would go crazy again if she rejected him. Helpless, Joanna obediently got into the front passenger seat. In the car, Joanna did not say a word, her expression was cold and indifferent. Bruce glanced at her from time to time, his gaze subtly tracing the contours of her face, desperately searching for the right words. However, the silence lingered like an oppressive fog, wrapping around his thoughts and stealing his voice away. The entire journey was silent. 20 minutes later, the car arrived at the residential area where Joanna lived. She got out of the car and walked home without looking back. Hey! Bruce stretched out the car window and shouted. Joanna came to a halt, replying, What? You were leaving just like that. I'm in a hurry. I'm already here. Aren't you going to invite me up? Joanna finally turned around and looked at Bruce speechlessly. Mr. Everett, my family is sleeping. It's not appropriate for you to go up. Why not? Bruce questioned and got out of the car. At least invite me up for a glass of water. 10:44 Saturday, 24. Chapter 131. Ads by Pub Future. Quote. Alright then. Joanna walked in front while Bruce followed behind. Back home. Miranda opened the door. Joanne is back. Miranda was the oldest, so she called Joanna by her nickname. Miranda, have you bought the stuff? Yes, I got them. Oh, great. Mommy, you're back. Devian was still awake. Seeing that Joanna had returned, he ran over with a worried expression. Mommy, how's little brother? Little brother is fine. Devian, don't worry too much. It's already so late. Why aren't you asleep? Joanna put down her bag and gently stroked his little face. Devian looked worried. Mommy, can I go to the hospital with you later? I want to see little brother. It's already very late. You have to sleep early. You still have to go to kindergarten tomorrow. But, Devian paused and realized that Bruce was standing at the door. Mommy, why is this big baddie at our house? Joanna pursed her lips. Don't worry about it. Be good and go to sleep, okay? Okay. Joanna had no time to waste. She said coldly to Bruce, make yourself at home. I don't have the time to entertain you. Bruce heard her and walked into the living room resentfully. Then, he sat down on the sofa. Tracy hurriedly poured a glass of water and placed a fruit platter on the coffee table. Soon, Joanna entered the room and went to prepare the dumplings. Miranda also rushed to help. Bruce crossed his long legs and sat elegantly on the sofa. Even though he didn't speak, he exuded an aura that made him seem cold and unapproachable. On the other end of the sofa, Devian was like a wolf dog, ready to pounce. He imitated Bruce and sat with his legs crossed. However, his legs were too short and could not be as natural as Bruce's. Devian's round face puffed up as he stared fiercely at Bruce. 3 minutes later, 10:44 Saturday the 24th of June. Chapter 131. Bruce felt a little uncomfortable being stared at. This was the first time he was stared at by a child until his hair stood up. Bruce subconsciously adjusted his sitting posture and crossed his arms. He frowned slightly and also stared straight at Devian. Unexpectedly, Devian thought he was provoking Bruce. The former crossed his arms and imitated Bruce's posture. The two stared at each other like a lion facing a baby lion. Bruce was inexplicably amused. Little guy, what's your name? You're the little one. I know your name. Your name is Bruce Everett. Oh, you seem to be very hostile toward me. After Bruce finished speaking, he was a little surprised. He was curious to know what this child thought of him. Devian's expression was still like a fierce chicken. He confronted, Are you trying to bully mommy again? I'm warning you. If you dare to bully mommy again, I'll teach you a lesson. Devian said and flashed his little fist. He looked like he was going to fight Bruce. HMPH. Bruce smiled and didn't want to bother with this little guy anymore. Bruce's disdainful expression angered Devian. HMPH, don't think you can treat me lightly because I'm young. I grow up very quickly. When Bruce heard this, the smile on his face deepened. He looked at the little guy with interest and felt strange. This little fellow was filled with hostility towards him. However, he felt that he was inexplicably adorable. Even though he was threatened, he did not feel angry at all. I'm talking to you. Do you hear me? Bruce nodded and asked, are you really Jaden's son? HMPH. Devian arrogantly tilted his head to the side. Why should I tell you? Because you don't look like your father at all. When Devian heard this, he was a little angry. Mr. Grimm is not my father. And I'm not his son. Bruce's heart sank when he heard that. He subconsciously put his leg down. Then where is your father? Why must I tell you? Bruce choked. This little guy had the same temper as Joanna and did not take him seriously. However, he called Jaden Mr. Grimm. Did Joanna lie to him? These 3 children were his. She lied to him on purpose, saying that the children were Jaden's. Although Jaden was anxious when the kid got into trouble, he did not show too much grief. 10:44 Saturday the 24th of June. Chapter 131. However, the paternity test and birth certificate of the children that Joanna showed Grandma were all real. Grandma was smart. It was impossible for her not to be able to tell. Bruce was lost in thought. Joanna exited the kitchen with a bowl of noodles in her hand. The noodles are ready. Hurry up and cat, Joanna said, placing the noodles on the dining table. That's fast. Joanna rolled her eyes. Hurry up, don't waste my time. It was just a bowl of noodles, which would take less than 10 minutes. She just wanted to quickly send Bruce away so he would stop making things difficult for her. Bruce stood up and walked to the dining table. Mommy, I want to eat too. When Joanna heard Devian, she realized he had not returned to his room. Devian, why haven't you gone to bed yet? I'm hungry too. Mommy, I want some noodles too. Be good. It's late now. Hurry up and sleep early. It will be hard for your stomach to digest if you eat too much at night. When Devian heard her, he pointed at Bruce unhappily. Then why can he eat it? He's an adult. Devian pouted and retorted, Mommy, but I'm hungry and can't sleep. When Joanna heard this, she took a deep breath helplessly. Fine. Mommy will cook another bowl for you. The more hectic it was, the more chaotic it became. Irwin was craving dumplings. Bruce wanted a bowl of noodles. Now, Devian was hungry for some noodles too. No, I want to eat from his bowl. Devian pointed at the noodles on the table. He was deliberately trying to snatch away the big baddie's noodles. Joanna frowned. You won't be able to finish such a big bowl. I can eat it all. Joanna looked at Devian helplessly before turning to Bruce. Wait a moment. I'll go in and make a bowl for you. Fine. It doesn't matter. Bruce replied resentfully. Anyway, he couldn't possibly snatch food from a child. Then this bowl is for you. Eat it and go to bed early. Okay. Devian climbed onto the dining table and sat upright. He looked at Bruce smugly and began to eat his noodles. Bruce sat at the other end of the dining table. He was not angry. Instead, he felt that this little guy's actions were similar to when ads by Pub Future. He was young. You still haven't told me where your father is. HMPH. Devian pouted. My father is the most powerful person in the world. He's 100 times more powerful than you. And he's richer than you. Then where is he? Bruce raised his eyebrows and smiled with interest. How can I tell you? What if you steal my father away? Steal your father? Bruce was speechless. He was not so cheap as to fight to be someone's son. 10:44 Sigh. Chapter 132. In short, my father is amazing. If you dare to bully me again, my father will settle scores with you. Bruce chuckled. And I'll be here waiting for your father. Or maybe I'm your father. Upon hearing this, Devian's face darkened in anger. No, I'm your father. Bruce was so angry that he choked. He scolded. You have a nasty mouth. If it weren't for the fact that you're young, I would have slapped you to death. Don't run. I'll slap you to death when I grow up. The two started scolding each other in the dining room. Joanna listened from the kitchen and frowned. They were indeed father and son. Their scolding tone sounded the same too. In the end, Joanna could not stand it anymore. She walked out with a dark expression. Divian, who taught you to be so rude? Who said you could scold others like this? Mommy. After being reprimanded, Divian lowered his head. Bruce was absolutely livid. His face had transformed into an intense shade of anger. A child scolded him with an air of authority, his words piercing through Bruce's pride. Most importantly, Bruce lost. Bruce, I'm impressed. You can even argue with a child. Bruce's eyes widened. His anger was so overwhelming that it rendered him speechless. The noodles are ready. I'm not eating anymore. I'm full of anger. Forget it then. Joanna's patience had worn thin, her desire to coax him dissipating like a wisp of smoke. She quickly placed the cooked dumplings in a container. After exchanging a few more words with Miranda, she took her bag and prepared to leave. Seeing this, Bruce was even more furious. Joanna had no intention of coaxing him at all. Bruce let it go because Fi realized she was angry with him. He knew it was better not to argue with her. Bruce drove angrily and sent Joanna to the hospital again. On the way, when they passed the traffic light, there was a bar by the roadside. A few fashionable young men surrounded a girl in a short skirt at the entrance. Bruce took a glance. Judging from her figure, she looked similar to Roxanne. Who's that woman? Is she Roxy? Joanna took a casual look. Why would she come to such a place? Hasn't she always been a good girl? 1044 Sal. Chapter 137. Bruce took a closer look. She looks like Roxy. Why is she at the bar? And with a group of indecent people. Moreover, she seemed drunk and leaning on another girl's shoulder. Wait here, I'll get out to take a look. Bruce was a little worried. After all, he had teased Roxanne tonight. If she was in a bad mood, it was Eli for her to go for a drink. Although he no longer loved Roxanne, he didn't want anything to happen to her. Seeing this, Joanna's face darkened. She went to open the car door and said, Bruce, go and accompany your girlfriend. I'll take a taxi to the hospital. Joanna, seeing that she was about to get out of the car, Bruce pressed the lock button. I only said I wanted to get out of the car to take a look. I didn't say I'm leaving you behind. After saying that, the red light happened to turn green. Bruce stepped on the accelerator and drove away. They arrived at the hospital. Joanna rushed into the ward. Bruce was still a little worried, so he called Roxanne. Beep, beep, beep. Unfortunately, no one picked up the phone. If it were in the past, Roxanne would never ignore his call. Then, Bruce called Andy. The call was quickly picked up. Hey, Andy, Mr. Everett, what are your instructions? Did you take Roxy home? On the other end of the line, Andy stammered. Haynes didn't want me to send her back and insisted on going back alone. Bruce became certain that the drunk girl earlier was Roxanne. She was just a child. If she got so drunk, she would be taken advantage of. It's fine. I'm hanging up. After hanging up, Bruce's uneasiness grew. He drove straight to the bar to send her home. No matter what, he could not let anything happen to her. On the other side, the drunk Roxanne called Gavin to pick her up at the bar. When Bruce arrived at the bar, Roxanne had already gone home with Gavin. Bruce searched the bar for a long time but did not find her. Gavin brought Roxanne back to his home. His eyes were filled with heartache, and he could not wait to hug her. Roxy, why are you so drunk? Roxanne stank of alcohol and said dejectedly, I wanted to drink, so I drank. But you can't drink so much. Ads by Pub Future. Roxanne smiled foolishly and hooked her arms around Gavin's neck. Gavin, tell me, am I annoying? No, you're not. Why do you ask? Then why doesn't he love me? Gavin was stunned. He quickly knew who she was referring to. Roxy, you're drunk. I'm not drunk. Gavin, if only Bruce loved me as much as you do. 1044 Saturday the 24th of June. Chapter 133. When Gavin heard this, he felt even more sorrowful. Even though the two had been dating for 4 years, he still could not appear as her boyfriend. She knew deep down that her true love was for another man. Being with Gavin was only driven by physical desire and nothing more. Roxy, you're drunk and spouting nonsense. I'm not drunk. Why doesn't he love me? Gavin looked at Roxanne angrily. He doesn't love you, but I do. Marry me. When Roxanne heard this, she smiled coldly. Marry you? Haha. Can you afford to support me? You don't even have a decent house or job. And you have to work so hard to buy me one handbag. Do you think you can marry me? Gavin felt like his heart had been pricked by a needle. Roxy, you've been despising me, right? Yes. How are you worthy of my respect? You are a man who lives off a woman. If it weren't for the fact that you're handsome, I wouldn't have been with you for so long. Gavin was furious. He picked up Roxanne and threw her onto the bed again. Then, he ripped her clothes. Roxanne couldn't take the pain anymore. Be gentle. Last time, he could not bear to be so rough with her and always tried his best to please her. But today, she was drunk and told the truth from the bottom of her heart. After all, Gavin was a man, and his self-esteem was ruthlessly crushed. Soon, Roxanne was entirely conquered. Her entire body was as limp as a pile of mud. Gavin was still furious. He went out to the courtyard to smoke. He had just lit a cigarette when someone slapped him on the shoulder. Yo, kid, on a date with your girlfriend again. Gavin turned around and saw Bosch, Kurt, and their 3 lackeys. Bosch, Kurt. Gavin was so scared that his body tensed up, and the cigarette in his mouth fell. Didn't you say you would pay us back in 3 days? Where is the money? Gavin stammered. Bosch, give me a few more days. I'll pay the money back to you. Bam, bam. The hooligan slapped him twice, and Gavin's head buzzed. This guy is quite generous when picking up girls. But when it comes to paying us the money, he's a fucking coward. It's been so long since you owed us money, and you're still not paying back the interest. Bosch, Kurt, I'm short of money. Please, give me a few more days. Chapter 133. Since you can't pay us back, let us play with your girlfriend. I'll take it as interest. Gavin was shocked. No, don't do anything rash. She's not my girlfriend. Not your girlfriend. To tell you the truth, I've been watching you. We know she's drunk. Either you pay up, or we are having fun with her. Bosch, Kurt. Soon, the 3 lackeys beat up Gavin. While he was being beaten up, a dark thought suddenly appeared. If they were to ruin Roxanne, her reputation would be tarnished, and the Everett family would not want her anymore. I would then have a chance to marry her. With this thought in mind, Gavin stopped resisting and let them tie him up. Then, the 5 of them entered the house together. Roxanne was not sober yet. Moreover, Gavin had given her a rough time earlier. Now, she was lying on the bed and sleeping soundly. What an amazing body, the men exclaimed and drooled. Kurt, you go first. Roxanne thought it was Gavin. She pushed the men away in a daze. No. I'm sleepy. The chick is waking up. Kurt pestered and whispered, get me an eye muskie. Then, he unbuttoned his pants and lay on top of her. Roxanne was sleeping soundly when she suddenly felt a weight on her body. She muttered impatiently, I already said no. Stop touching me. It hurts. When Kurt heard her, he became even more excited. The other 4 men also grew excited and could not help but touch her. It was unusual to see such a stunning woman in the slums. However, to the local tyrants, this was a commission occurrence. None of the girls dared to call the police, let alone resist. Therefore, these people were getting more and more arrogant. However, they did not know Roxanne's identity. They only thought that she was a hostess from the city. After all, she came to the slums to sleep with a poor guy like Gavin. Who would have thought that she was a wealthy young lady? In a daze, Roxanne felt that something was wrong. It did not feel like Gavin, and there was more than one person around her. Shocked, she sobered up and quickly opened her eyes. She realized that the man who touched her was an unfamiliar man who was fat, strong, and had a despicable expression. He also had a scar on his face and a beer belly as big as a pregnant woman's. There were also a few men who looked like hooligans around him. Yes, who are you? What are you doing? Kurt was in high spirits and panted heavily. Girl, your boyfriend owes us money. Now he's agreed to let us have fun with you. Roxanne was bewildered. She tried her hardest to push the man in front of her away. What are you talking about? Let me go. Unfortunately, her limbs were held down by the hooligans. One of them covered her eyes with the eye mask. Not. Help. Gavin. Roxanne struggled with all her might. Unfortunately, it was too late. How could she escape? Help. Gavin. Anyone. Gavin listened to Roxanne's screams and closed his eyes in pain. He wanted to break free from the rope and rush in to save her. However, even if he rushed in to save her, he could not defeat them alone. 10:45 Saturday the 24th of June. Chapter 134. He did not dare to call for help or call the police. After Kurt and the others were released from prison, they would seek revenge and kill his family. Soon, Kurt was done. He pulled up his pants and prepared to leave. You guys, go ahead and have fun. But go easy on her. Kurt left the house, and another hooligan eagerly pounced on her. The torture lasted for 2 hours. Roxanne was like a helpless doll. At first, she fiercely resisted but eventually succumbed to a helpless numbness. Tears had soaked through her eye mask, and her throat was so that she couldn't utter a sound. Gavin was also in despair. He closed his eyes in pain and silently prayed for everything to end quickly. As long as Roxanne could marry him, he did not mind that she had been insulted. Even though his heart ached, he knew this might be an opportunity. However, it was just too cruel. Perhaps this was the only way for him after Roxanne was ruined. Otherwise, with his background, Roxanne would never marry him. In the blink of an eye, it was already 3 in the morning. Bruce still had a sinking feeling. He felt like something had happened. Eventually, Bruce called Andy. Hey, Andy. Andy's sleepy voice came from the other end of the phone. Mr. Everett, what are your instructions? Check the GPS on Roxy's phone, and see where she is now. Right away, Andy replied and quickly got up to investigate. 5 minutes later, Roxanne's location had been found. Andy sent her phone's location to Bruce. Bruce looked at the address and was even more puzzled. The address indicated that the place was a slum. It was the dirtiest and messiest place in Greenport. It's so late now. Why is Roxy there? Ads by Pub Future, Bruce thought, and his heart sank. He quickly brought his men to the address on his phone. Half an hour later, Bruce appeared at Gavin's house with his men. However, Roxanne was already tarnished. 10:45 Saturday the 24th of June. Chapter 134. Roxy. Roxanne was naked and lying on the bed with a blank expression. At the side, the 4 hooligans were also shocked when they saw the men clad in black. Who are you? Why are you here? This is Kurt's territory, a hooligan shouted. Then, Bruce's bodyguards pounced on the 4 hooligans, subduing them on the ground one after another. Bruce felt his scalp go numb. He sucked in a breath of cold air, almost unable to believe what he saw. The thing he was most worried about had still happened. Moreover, it was countless times crueler than he had imagined. Soon, the hooligans were dragged out of the house. Roxy. After Bruce reacted, he quickly took off his clothes and covered her. Roxy. I'm sorry. Bruce choked and hugged Roxanne tightly with heartache and guilt. Roxanne looked at Bruce with empty eyes like a broken doll. Then, her head tilted, and she fainted. Andy was also stunned by the scene in front of him. He stood there in a daze, not knowing what to do. Mr. Everett's fiancée had been. Andy thought. This news would shock the entire Greenport. Mr. Everett, do you want to call the police? When Bruce heard him, the veins on his temples popped out. He said sinisterly, there's no need. Deal with them. Yes. Andy's face darkened as he turned around to instruct his men. Only then did the hooligans realize they had provoked someone they shouldn't have. They were frightened. They never expected that the woman they slept with was Bruce's fiancée. Bruce would make them die a horrible death. Andy ordered the bodyguards to bring the hooligans away. As for how to solve it, the news would be released the next day. Bruce carried Roxanne and rushed her to the hospital. At this moment, he held himself responsible, experienced a sense of guilt, and had remorse over it. Even if he didn't love Roxanne anymore, he didn't want such a tragedy to happen to her. She was so weak and innocent. How could she withstand such a blow? Besides, he could have avoided this tragedy. While waiting for the traffic light to turn green, he had already seen her drunk at the bar's entrance. Unfortunately, when he heard Joanna say it couldn't be her, he didn't care anymore. He was sending Joanna to the hospital, so he didn't exit the car. If he had gotten out of the car to take a look, such a tragedy would not have happened to Roxanne. 10:45 Saturday the 24th of June. Chapter 134. 20 minutes later, Roxanne was sent to a private hospital. Her body suffered grave injuries, with soft tissue damage all over. She was bleeding heavily and severely dehydrated. Soon after Ingrid and Sean Haynes received the news, they rushed over early in the morning. Tap, tap, tap. Ingrid's high heels almost crushed the floor. Sean followed closely behind her, panting. Roxy, Roxy, what happened to you? Bruce didn't know how to reply. He sat on the chair outside the ward with his head lowered. His face was filled with regret and guilt. Seeing this, Ingrid grew anxious. What happened to Roxy? Andy frowned slightly. Haynes was bullied by bad guys. Boom. When Ingrid heard him, it felt as if a bolt of lightning had struck her. She lost strength in her legs, and her balance gave way, causing her to squat on the floor. Bullied by bad guys. Ingrid couldn't accept this. She turned to Bruce and shook his thigh crazily. Wasn't Roxy with you? How could she be bullied? Quote. Bruce choked regretfully and closed his eyes in heartache. Heavens, my Roxy, how could the heavens bear to let you suffer such a tragedy? Ingrid pounded her chest and burst into tears. It was all over now. Roxanne was ruined. Her marriage with Bruce was going to be completely crushed. When Sean heard the news, he had a heart attack. Andy quickly supported him. Doctor, come quickly. Soon, Sean was sent to the emergency room for urgent treatment. Seeing this, Bruce felt even more guilty. He hated himself to death. If he hadn't humiliated Roxanne, she probably wouldn't have been so sad that she ran out to drink. This tragedy wouldn't have happened if she hadn't gone out drinking. To make matters worse, he had missed the opportunity to save her due to his carelessness. Roxy, hubby. Ingrid pounded her chest and cried, unsure whether to worry about her husband or daughter. Mr. Everett, answer me. Didn't Roxy look for you yesterday? I called her and asked. She said that she's with you, so I am relieved. Otherwise, I'll make her go home early. How did this happen? Ingrid cried until she was out of breath. She had carefully raised her daughter for so many years. She wanted her to marry into a wealthy family in the future. Now, all her hard work had been ruined. Bruce lowered his head in frustration and did not say a word. Andy quickly comforted Ingrid and handed her a few tissues. Mrs. Haynes, don't be too sad. Ingrid took the tissues and wiped her snot. She cried her heart out. How could I not be sad when something like this happened? Our fate is too cruel. Why is fate so cruel to Roxy? What sins have our family committed to deserve this? Unlucky things happen, one after another. This is a hospital. Please keep your voice down. There are still patients undergoing surgery. The head nurse came over and said. When Ingrid heard her, she went from wailing to crying in a low voice. 40 minutes later, the door of the ward opened. The doctors and nurses walked out one after another. Doctor, how's the patient? The doctor spoke seriously. The patient's external injuries are quite severe. It may be difficult for her to conceive in the future. The laceration has been sutured, and she has to stay in bed for the next few days. Also, you need to pay more attention to the patient's mental health. It's best to find a psychiatrist to guide her. The doctor continued to explain Roxanne's situation. Bruce could not bear to listen anymore. His heart was throbbing in pain. How did that happen? Ads by Pub Future. How could such a tragedy happen right under his nose? In the ward, Roxanne was still unconscious and had an oxygen mask over her mouth and nose. The bruises on her neck could be seen clearly. Bruce could not believe what kind of torture those hooligans had done to her last night. Bruce had been blaming himself for the incident. He didn't know that before this, she had slept with Gavin. He also wasn't aware that she was the one who took the initiative to look for Gavin, so it led to a disaster. Ingrid caressed her daughter's face, her heart aching. Tears streamed down her face. 10:45 Saturday the 24th of June S. Chapter 135. Roxy, my dear daughter. How are you? Roxanne lay quietly on the hospital bed without any response. Bruce looked at Roxanne in turmoil. At noon, Roxanne finally woke up. However, although she had woken up, she seemed to have lost her soul. She was in a daze, and her eyes were soulless. No matter what Ingrid asked or said, she did not react. Roxy, say something to mommy. You are my only daughter. Don't take things too hard. Roxy, don't worry too much. Bruce did not know how to comfort her either. The patient is still weak, and her mental state is not good. It's best to let the patient rest more. The doctor instructed again. Okay. Bruce and Ingrid left the ward. Ingrid, who was crying, suddenly thought of something. She grabbed Bruce's tie and said, "You are responsible for my daughter. Now that this has happened to her, it's all because you didn't protect her well that she ended up like this." Bruce sighed deeply. Because he blamed himself too much, he did not deny it and allowed Ingrid to make a scene. At this moment, Roxanne was probably the most vulnerable and needed comfort the most. Therefore, he decided to make up for his mistake. He decided to give her a wedding and marry her as soon as possible. Soon, Joanna also learned that Roxanne and Sean were hospitalized. She rushed out of Irwin's ward to visit them. She arrived at the door of the ward on the second floor. She happened to see Bruce sitting there dejectedly. "Bruce," Joanna subconsciously called out to him. Bruce's expression was ice cold. There was no response at all. What the hell happened? Bruce rolled his eyes and looked at Joanna with a hint of anger. Last night, Roxy was bullied by some bad guys. Joanna was stunned. Bruce suddenly became a little agitated and criticized her. "It's all your fault. Me. Roxanne got bullied by some bad guys, and it became my fault." Chapter 135. Last night, I saw Roxy at the entrance of the bar. I saw her drunk. TM, you were the one who said it couldn't be her. You were the one who rushed to the hospital to deliver food to your son. This tragedy could have been avoided. I could have saved her. I blame myself. I regret it. I shouldn't have gone to you last night. When Joanna heard this, she choked in anger. "Bruce, I'm also heartbroken that something like this happened. I've already said I don't need you to send me to the hospital. But you insisted." Bruce's heart skipped a beat. After pondering for a few seconds, he said hatefully, "I hate myself to death. If I hadn't heard you say she was an obedient girl and she wouldn't have been at the bar, I wouldn't have left. If you hadn't thrown a tantrum and given me a hard time, I would have gotten out of the car to see her. This kind of tragedy wouldn't have happened." Joanna was even more speechless after hearing this. "Bruce, you're a weird man. She's your sister. Don't you feel any heartache or regret for what happened to her?" "What do I regret? I didn't cause this. Joanna, I didn't expect you to be such a heartless woman. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You can say whatever you want. I said I'm here to see my father. It has nothing to do with you." As she spoke, Joanna walked towards Sean's ward. Ingrid heard their conversation and immediately rushed out of the. Leaving Sean's hospital room, Joanna's tears flowed uncontrollably. Joanna hadn't wanted this to happen to Roxanne either, but she couldn't understand why she was being blamed. Forget it. Joanna was disappointed and tired. Joanna would let those people think whatever they wanted. Anyway, she had a clear conscience and would not apologize to anyone. Joanna returned to Irwin's hospital room, regained her composure, and began to organize their things. Joanna really did not want to see this group of people again. She would feel crushed just being in close proximity to them. Joanna was going to transfer Irwin to another hospital. Irwin was still running a high fever, and his face was red. "Mommy, baby, you're awake. Are you still feeling unwell?" Joanna came to the head of the bed and gently touched her son's forehead. "Mommy, don't worry. I'm much better now." When Joanna heard this, she felt a little choked up. Joanna helped Irwin change into his clothes. "Be good, Irwin. Let's go. We're leaving." "Mommy, didn't the doctor tell me to stay for 2 more days? I still feel a little unwell. I don't want to go to school." Irwin pouted, whining. Joanna squeezed out a smile. She knew that her son did not want to go to school. "I know that you're not feeling well. You don't have to go to school for another week. I'll take you to another hospital." The Everett family owned this hospital, and Joanna did not want to stay any longer. Irwin's eyes lit up when he heard that. Since he did not have to go to school, Irwin felt it would be better to go home. At least he could spend more time with Lelia. "Mommy, can I go home and rest?" "No, the doctor said that your lungs are wet and you must be treated in the hospital. I will take you to a children's hospital." "Mommy, I think I've recovered. It's better to go home and recuperate. I can even accompany Lelia." "No," Joanna refused decisively. When Joanna finished packing up, Kelly had also completed the discharge procedures for Irwin. Joanna carried Irwin as Kelly took their things, and they prepared to leave the hospital. Joanna was carrying her son and had just reached the lobby when she bumped into Ingrid. Ads by Pub Future. You damn bitch. You've caused Roxy to suffer so much. I'm going to make sure you suffer too. Ingrid screamed angrily and charged at Joanna like a mad woman. Still carrying Irwin, Joanna was not quick enough to avoid her. Ingrid bumped into Joanna roughly. Joanna shouted and fell toward the staircase with Irwin still in her arms. The mother and son were about to fall. Chapter 136. A pair of strong hands suddenly reached out from behind and supported Joanna and her son. Joanna was so scared that her heart was pounding. Joanna couldn't imagine what would have happened if she had really fallen. Down the stairs, Joanna turned around and saw that it was Jaden who had caught her. Jay, why are you here? With a gloomy look, Jaden sighed, I am here to see you and Irwin. Let me carry Irwin, Jaden said, quickly taking Irwin from Joanna's arms. Mr. Grimm, you came at the right time. Your girlfriend is cheating on you and even seducing someone else's boyfriend. Keep her in check. Ingrid stood with her hands on her hips, a scathing and arrogant look on her face. Jaden glared at Ingrid. Watch your mouth. After doing something shameless, are you still afraid of others talking about it? Joanna Haynes, you slut. Your father said that he will hold a press conference next week. He will expel you from the Haynes family and sever his relationship with you. You bitch, don't say you're from the Haynes family ever again. The Haynes family doesn't have a shameless bitch like you. Don't call yourself a Haynes anymore. You're not worthy. Joanna's face darkened, and she turned around, retorting, my last name is Haynes, after my grandfather. Please tell Mr. Haynes I don't have a father like him either. Also, I will make a compulsory acquisition of the Haynes Group shares that Mr. Haynes holds. The Haynes Group and I have nothing to do with the Haynes family anymore. When Ingrid heard this, she was even more furious. Ingrid thought Joanna would feel humiliated after being expelled from the Haynes family. Ingrid had expected Joanna to lower her voice to protect her reputation. Unexpectedly, Joanna did not yearn to stay with the Haynes family and even wanted to kick Sean out of the Haynes Group. You unfilial daughter with wild ambitions. How did your father have a shameless daughter like you? WWW. Joanna turned around with a hint of rage in her eyes. Mrs. Haynes, since Mr. Haynes has severed ties with me, he is no longer my father. It's not your place to criticize Mel. If you continue to insult me, I will protect my reputation through legal means. I will also pass the evidence of your son deliberately hurting my son to the police. After saying that, Joanna stood upright and glared at Ingrid coldly and furiously. Seeing this, Ingrid's aura immediately weakened. Ingrid was most afraid that her son would go to jail. Now that Sean wanted to sever his relationship with Joanna, she would naturally not show mercy to Derek and might send Derek to jail. You bitch, you have guts. We'll see who has the last laugh. Ingrid did not dare to stay any longer, quickly turning around and walking toward the wards. After Ingrid left, Joanna's eyes darkened. She felt a little dizzy and could not stand steadily. Chapter 136. Joanne, what's wrong? Jaden quickly reached out and put an arm around Joanna. Joanna leaned weakly in his arms. Joanna was about to have a relapse again. She had already taken her medicine in the morning. Now that she was agitated, she couldn't control her depression. Jay, please take me home. I don't want to stay here. Alright, let's go. Jaden carried Irwin on one arm, hugged Joanna with his other arm, and hurried toward the hospital entrance. Joanna could no longer control her emotions. She bit her tongue hard and tried her best to stay alert. Joanna's illness was getting worse. She now had to take her medication every day, and her dosage was increasing too. On the second floor, Bruce watched the scene gloomily. Bruce watched as Joanna was snuggled tightly in Jaden's arms, looking like she was deeply attached to him. Bruce felt a surge of jealousy to his bones. In the end, Joanna still ignored what he had said. Or perhaps, Bruce was overthinking things. Maybe Joanna had stopped loving him a long time ago. Maybe Bruce was the only one thinking that Joanna still loved him. Joanna Haynes. Bruce said her name in a low voice and closed his eyes tightly. Jaden and Joanna had just stepped out of the hospital when Joanna rushed to the flower bed by the side and vomited. In the past, when she felt sick, Joanna would always lock herself in the bathroom. Jaden hurriedly handed Irwin to Kelly and ran over to take a look. Joanne, what's wrong? Joanna Haynes lost control of his emotions, letting out a heart-wrenching sob and throwing herself into Jaden's arms. It's okay. It's okay. Everything will pass. Jaden hugged Joanna tightly and patted her hair to comfort her. Joanna sobbed, letting out heart-wrenching cries. This was the first time Joanna had been so hysterical in front of Jaden. She had completely lost control of her emotions. Jaden's heart ached even more, and his eyes had also turned red. Cry if you want to. You'll feel better if you cry. Mommy. Irwin was also scared out of his wits and looked on helplessly. Kelly, take Irwin home. Don't scare him. I'll stay here with Joanne. Okay, Mr. Grimm. Irwin also started crying. Mommy, don't cry. Don't be sad. Jaden quickly comforted Irwin. Irwin, be good. Go back with Miss Kelly first. I'll stay with Mommy. Okay. Okay. Irwin nodded obediently. Kelly then carried Irwin and took a taxi back. Jaden continued hugging Joanna. Some passersby also stopped to watch the commotion. It's alright. No matter what happens, I'll always be by your side. Jay, I'm miserable. I can't take it anymore. Why? Why was I born into such a family? Joanna sobbed. Jaden frowned. I know everything. I've told you many times that you don't have to put up with it if you can't. If you're willing, I'll always be by your side. When Joanna heard this, she hugged Jaden's waist tightly and buried herself in his arms, crying even harder. At this moment, Joanna just needed someone to comfort her and a shoulder to lean on. Joanna knew that Jaden had never been hers and that she should not have selfishly asked him to be exclusive. But now, Joanna couldn't care less. She just wanted to have someone she could rely on. In Sean's ward, Ingrid was still cursing. Honey, your daughter said that she wants to make a compulsory acquisition of the Haynes Group shares you own. Look, it's our family's misfortune to have such a daughter. Sean was so angry that his chest ached, and he breathed heavily, saying, enough. We'll hold a press conference next week. I'll completely cut ties with her this time. Since she doesn't want to acknowledge me as her father, I don't want to acknowledge her as my daughter anymore. Ingrid gritted her teeth and said, you should have severed your relationship with her long ago. Before Ingrid could finish her sentence, a shrill cry came from the ward next door. It sounded like Roxanne. It's Roxy. Oh my God, let's go and take a look. Ingrid panicked and rushed out of the ward to Roxanne's ward. 10:45 Saturday the 24th of June. Chapter 137. Sean also hurriedly pulled out the wee drip in his arm and ran over barefooted. They pushed open the door and saw Roxanne howling like she was possessed, shouting agitated. Rory, what's happening? Seeing that someone was there, Roxanne ran to the staircase window like she was crazy and looked like she wanted to jump out. Ingrid and Sean were scared out of their wits. Roxy, don't jump. If you jump, what will I do? Ingrid cried. Don't come any closer. Roxanne screamed hysterically, subconsciously looking down at the height of the building. Ads by Pub Future. This was the third floor. If Roxanne jumped, even if she didn't die, she would probably be crippled. Roxanne thought she should stall for time and wait for the people downstairs to finish setting up the inflatable pads before jumping. Roxanne had been taken advantage of by a few hooligans. Although she felt hurt and tormented, she had long been used to messing around with Gavin. The only difference between being touched by one of 5 men was the numbers. Although Roxanne felt tormented, it was not to the point where she wanted to die. Roxanne was merely taking a gamble. Roxanne was betting on how guilty Bruce was feeling. Roxanne was betting on whether Bruce would sympathize with her and forgive her because of guilt. As long as Bruce felt guilty, there was still hope for her to marry into the Everett family. Bruce heard the commotion and rushed over. Seeing this, Bruce's heart tightened. Roxy, don't be rash. Don't come over. Don't come over. Roxy, listen to me and come back down. Don't be rash. Bruce looked nervous and tried to approach her. Don't come over. If you do, I'll jump. All right. I won't go over. Roxy, don't be rash. Come down, and we can talk about it. Roxanne covered her head with her hands and shook her head frantically as her tears splashed everywhere. I don't have the face to live anymore. I don't want to live anymore. Bruce, I'm no longer worthy of you. I hope you and Joanna will be happy together. As Roxanne spoke, she turned as if to climb onto the windowsill. No, Roxy, don't. Ingrid and Sean screamed in fear. Bruce rushed forward and grabbed the corner of Roxanne's shirt. Then, Bruce dragged her off the windowsill and hugged Roxanne tightly. Let go of me and let me die. Roxy, I won't allow you to jump. Bruce felt guilty and blamed himself. I'm sorry I didn't protect you well. Please give me a chance to make it up to you. I won't turn my back on you. I still love you. Our wedding will be held as scheduled. When Roxanne heard this, she heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like she had won the bet. As expected, Bruce did feel guilty about it. In other words, there was still hope for her to marry into the Everett family. Bruce, don't pity me. I know you are pitying me. I'm not clean anymore. I don't deserve you anymore. Please, just let me die. I really don't want to live anymore. Roxanne said as she tried to bang her head against the wall. Bruce hugged her tightly and comforted her. What are you talking about? Everyone is heartbroken that something like this happened. You have to be stronger and braver. It's easy to die, but it takes more courage to live. For me, for your parents, you have to stay alive. When Roxanne heard this, she cried even harder and looked like she was devastated. Bruce, I despise myself even if you don't despise me. I can't live with my impure self anymore. Just let me die. Silly girl, don't say such things again. No matter what you become, I will always love you. Bruce said these words clearly to comfort Roxanne. However, the image of Joanna involuntarily appeared in his mind. However, something like this happened to Roxanne. As a man, he could not shirk his responsibility. In any case, he had to make up to her, more to make up for his own guilt. Roxanne looked at Bruce with teary eyes. Bruce, do you really not despise me? Do you really not despise me for being dirty? My first time has been ruined. Boo-hoo. As Roxanne spoke, she choked and could hardly breathe. A large stream of tears fell from her eyes. Ads by Pub Future. It seemed that she was really heartbroken to the extreme. Her first time was long gone. Gavin had already fed her until she became a sophisticated lady who could not live without men. However, her acting skills were really amazing. Anyone who saw it would believe it. Although this incident was a heavy lesson for Roxanne, it was also good. She no longer needed to pretend to be an innocent girl. In the future, Bruce's heart was filled with guilt and pain. He gently stroked her head. Quote. How can that be? In this day and age, no one cares about these things. I'm not one of those old-fashioned men. I'm not gonna think less of you for this. Promise me you won't do anything stupid again. When Ingrid heard this, she heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Roxafine could still marry into the Everett family, everything would not be too bad. Rory, don't do anything stupid. If you do something stupid, our family won't be able to survive. Bruce, you must fulfill your promise and not let my Roxy down again. Otherwise, if my daughter dies, I won't live anymore. After I die, I'll definitely turn into a malicious ghost and take revenge on you. Every night. Sean frowned and said angrily, Oh, what are you talking about? Come on. Everyone is watching the show. Let's not embarrass ourselves anymore. 10:46. Chapter 138. When Bruce heard this, he carried Roxanne horizontally and carefully carried her back to the ward. After returning to the ward, Ingrid still looked worried. Roxy's reputation is on the line, and word must not get out. Bruce took a deep breath and said gloomily, Don't worry. I've already got someone to teach those bad guys who bullied Roxy a lesson. There's no need to alarm the police about this matter. I'll also think of a way to suppress the media and not let this matter spread. That's good. That's good. After Roxy recovers, you and Roxy should get married as soon as possible. Ingrid couldn't wait to urge them to get married again. All right. Bruce frowned and agreed. However, his heart was filled with mixed feelings and an indescribable heaviness. Roxanne secretly glanced at Bruce's expression. Seeing his reluctant expression, she immediately cried again. Boo-hoo. Bruce, don't marry me just because you pity me. I don't need you to pity me like this. I'd rather die than put you in such a difficult position. Bruce took another deep breath and said guiltily, "Silly girl, how could that be? It's my fault for not being able to protect you well. It's also my fault for not getting there in time to save you. That's why this tragedy happened. I hope this matter can be over soon. You should also get out of the trauma as soon as possible." Oh, Roxanne could only cry non-stop. "Bruce, you will have to comfort Roxy during this period of time. You must take more time to keep Roxy company. I'm worried that she might do something stupid." Bruce adjusted his expression and said solemnly, "Don't worry. I will." When Ingrid heard this, she felt relieved. "Then you two can have a private conversation. Her father and I will go out first." As she spoke, Ingrid quickly gave Sean a look. Sean sighed helplessly. "Take care, you guys. Don't do anything stupid again. Let's go. Give Bruce and Roxy some privacy." After Ingrid finished speaking, she supported Sean and hurried out of the ward. After leaving the ward, Sean still had a melancholic look on his face. "With such a thing happening to Roxy, why don't we cancel the marriage?" "What did you say?" Ingrid's voice suddenly rose a lot. Sean frowned and said earnestly, "I said now that something like this has happened to Roxy, it's better to cancel the marriage." "With the Everett family?" Ingrid looked shocked and surprised. "Excuse me, are you out of your mind? Roxy is already so unlucky, and you're still asking her to break off the engagement. Do you know what you are thinking? Is there something wrong with your brain?" Sean heaved a long sigh and said with heartache, "I'm doing this for Roxy's own good. Roxy, even if she finally managed to marry into the Everett family, she won't be happy. Instead of suffering for the rest of her life, it's better to stop her losses now. Better a finger off than always aching." When Ingrid heard this, she was completely angry. She stretched out her hand and poked Sean's head. "What do you mean by that? You want Roxy to give the opportunity to that damn bitch Joanna, right? You're still saying that you're not biased toward her. You're biased toward that damn bitch." Sean also stomped his feet anxiously. "Of course not. My heart aches for Roxy, so I don't want her to marry into the Everett family again. If Mr. Everett really loves Roxy, he would have married her long ago. He wouldn't have delayed it until now. Now that such a thing has happened to Roxy, even if she succeeded in marrying into the Everett family, she will be compromising and will not be able to be happy. I'd rather she find a man who truly loves her, even if he comes from a slightly lower class family." Ingrid's face darkened as she cried out, "Forget it. Roxy must marry into the Everett family in this lifetime. Even if she dies, she must be a ghost of the Everett family. She's already unlucky enough now that something like this has happened to her. If she's abandoned by the Everett family again, how can she live? Oh, you women are just short-sighted. Do whatever you want. I don't want to talk nonsense with you." Sean could tell that Bruce did not love Roxanne anymore. Now that something like this had happened to Roxanne, it was even more impossible for Bruce to truly love Roxanne. Even if they got married forcibly, their marriage would not last long. Ingrid was still cursing. "I don't want to talk so much nonsense with you. Don't go against me on this matter. Also, hold a press conference next week to announce that you will sever your father-daughter relationship with Joanna." If she hadn't been hooking up with Bruce, Roxy wouldn't have been heartbroken and wouldn't have gone out to drink. In the end, this matter is all because of that slut Joanna. Got it? On the other side, Kelly brought Irwin home. "Irwin, you're back?" Lilia asked with concern. "Lilia, I'm back. Where's Devian?" Mommy asked Miranda to send Devian to Ventura's. "Oh, ads by Pub Future. Are you alright?" "I'm fine. Don't worry." Irwin forced a smile. When he saw his mommy crying so sadly just now, he knew that she must be upset. However, he was still young and did not know how to protect his mommy. He could only be more obedient and try not to make his mommy worried. "Where's mommy? Why didn't she come back with you?" "Oh, mommy is with Mr. Grimm." Hearing that, Lilia stopped asking. She knew that her mommy was very busy and hardworking. Her mother had to earn money to support her and her brothers and to treat her illness. Hence, the three children were very sensible. Each of them exuded an early maturity that did not match their ages. An hour later, Under Jaden's comfort, Joanna's emotions gradually calmed down. I'll send you back. Okay. Jaden didn't say anything else and drove Joanna home. Irwin, Lelia, Mommy is back. Joanna entered the house and pretended to be relaxed and casual. Mommy. Looking at their mommy's red and swollen eyes, the two kids were terrifyingly quiet. Mommy is fine. You're too be good. Irwin stammered, Mommy, I want to stay at home to recuperate. I don't want to go to the hospital anymore. Joanna looked at Irwin and found that he was in good spirits. And now that the doctor had prescribed medicine, he should be fine. All right then. You need to rest well at home. Okay, I know. Joanne, Irwin, I am really sorry. It's all my fault. I feel extremely guilty for causing so much damage to Irwin. It's okay. It's not your fault, Mr. Grimm. When I recover, I'll continue to make guest appearances for you. Alright, I will definitely wait for you. Okay, Irwin, lie on the bed and rest well. Don't run around, okay. Got it, Mommy. Kelly brought Irwin back to his room to rest. Only Jaden and Joanna were left in the living room. Joanne. Jaden hesitated. What's wrong? Nothing. Call me if you need anything. I'm always there. Well, thank you, Jai. Jaden wrapped his arms around her shoulders and looked at her gently. You are always so polite to me, impossible for me to take another step forward. Joanna lowered her eyes and said in a daze, No, I don't know how to tell you. Just say what you want to say. I'm listening. Forget it. Let's not talk about it. Joanna swallowed her words again. She wanted to tell Jaden not to get too close to her. She knew Bruce's personality. He was very sinister and ruthless. She was afraid that he would hurt Jaden. However, Jaden was so good to her. She really could not say these words, even if it was out of kindness. Making a relationship so distant. It's Jai. I was afraid that something bad would happen to you. Joanna said as she looked at Jaden with red and swollen eyes. She was really afraid that she would bring him trouble and disaster. Jaden stared at Joanna quietly and smiled. It's fine. Don't worry, Jai. How about? Jaden knew what she wanted to say and gently pulled her into his arms. Alright, you don't have to say anything. I know. After saying that, Jaden was still a little disappointed. He probably couldn't compete with Bruce. It wasn't that he wasn't outstanding, but his opponent was too strong. In the next few days, Joanna began to devote herself to her busy work again. She did not want to stop. Only by making herself turn like a machine would she not have the energy to think about those annoying things. And once it stopped, those annoying and unhappy things would engulf her, leaving her nowhere to escape. Monday. Under Ingrid's coercion and urging, Sean really held a press conference. From today onward, I officially announce that I have severed my father-daughter relationship with Joanna Haynes. Joanna Haynes will be chased out of the Haynes family. From now on, she is no longer the Haynes family's girl. This news instantly shocked all the reporters present. Mr. Haynes, may I ask why you chase your daughter out of the house? Sean said coldly, from now on, Joanna Haynes has nothing to do with me. As for the exact reason, it's not convenient to reveal. This is the end of the press conference. I will never bring up Ms. Haynes in front of the public again. Sean directly addressed Joanna as Ms. Haynes, which made it even more obvious that he was determined to sever his father-daughter relationship with Joanna. It also aroused everyone's curiosity. In an instant, Joanna had been pushed to the center of attention again. There were all kinds of guesses and criticisms. In less than an hour, the shocking news blew up all the major online platforms. Miss Haynes has been expelled from the family. The father and the daughter have broken up. Chairwoman of the Haynes Group's competing drama. Joanna Haynes has been expelled from the Haynes family. She is a sinner for all eternity. After being kicked out of the Everett family, she was also kicked out by the Haynes family. All sorts of negative headlines exploded like bombs, turning Joanna into dust. Some of the good reviews she had worked so hard to get back were turned to ashes after Sean broke off his father-daughter relationship with her. Sean was like a heavy punch that hit Joanna's heart heavily. She had thought that her father was just saying it out of anger. However, she never expected that her father would really hold a press conference to cut ties with her. Moreover, he pushed her back to the center of attention. In the office, Joanna looked at the overwhelming curses on the internet and the coldness on Sean's face when he addressed her as Ms. Haynes at the press conference. What filled Joanna's heart was not pain, but numbness and coldness. Sure enough, the wound from the closest people hurt the most. That was because they knew where to stab to make it hurt the most. Inside the company. Oh my God, look, Mr. Haynes has cut ties with Miss Haynes. Why is that? I don't know. I heard that it was because Miss Haynes always hooked up with Mr. Everett, which angered Mr. Haynes. What a mess this rich family is in. Since Miss Haynes and Mr. Everett are divorced, why do they have to get involved with each other? That's right, they're a family. Why must they make it such a disgrace? If you ask me, none of them are good people. They're all responsible for it. However, the fact that Mr. Haynes is so determined to sever his father-daughter relationship with Miss Haynes showed that Miss Haynes has indeed broken Mr. Haynes's heart. That's right. Miss Haynes has already announced that she would kick Mr. Haynes out of the board of directors. How ruthless this is. No wonder they broke off their father-daughter relationship. The employees of the company were also shocked by this news. During lunch, they gathered in groups of 3 to 5 and whispered to each other. These days, Bruce felt terrible about what happened to Roxanne, so he had always been at the hospital with Roxanne. And the ambiguous relationship between Joanna and Jaden made him even angrier. He decided to take advantage of this win to ruthlessly dampen the spirits of Joanna and Jaden. Oh, women, they shouldn't be allowed to have a career. Once they had a career, their wings would really grow. In the past, when Joanna was not the chairwoman of the Haynes Group, she was so humble and compromising when she was with him. Now that she had become the chairwoman of the Haynes Group, she was more capable and dared to stand up to him. She no longer took him seriously, and even ignored him. Only by destroying her career and cutting off her wings would her pride and confidence be completely destroyed. He was sure that she would come to beg him dejectedly at that time. In the office of the Haynes Group, Joanna was in a daze when there was a knock on the door. Bang! Come in, Miss Haynes. Cora walked in with a stack of documents. What is it? The factory in Mossbourne is settled. We can sign the contract tomorrow. Here are the printed contracts and documents. Joanna put on her glasses, took the documents, and started to read them. Oh, I got it. Do the preparations tonight. We'll go to Porush tomorrow. All right, Miss Haynes. Cora hesitated. Joanna raised her head and looked at Cora steadily. What's the matter? Have you seen the negative news online? Ads by Pub Future. Joanna's expression darkened. She said coldly, ignore them. Do what you have to do. All right. Cora adjusted her expression and said worriedly, however, the negative impact of this incident on the Haynes Group is great. Now, do you think it's better to postpone the matter of building a factory in Mossbourne? Why? The Skywinds Group and the Near East Group seem to be wavering now. They're not rushing the supply anymore. I'm worried that something bad will happen. Joanna continued to read the contract and asked casually, something bad? I'm afraid that if they cancel the order after the factory in Mossbourne is built, the Haynes Group will lose more than it gains. Let's build the factory in Mossbourne first. This is to open up the market of Mossbourne in the future. Even without the Skywinds Group and the Near East Group, the factory in Mossbourne will be built sooner or later. After the factory is built, we still have to develop other businesses. All right. The next day, Joanna brought Cora and 2 marketing managers to Mossbourne to sign the contract. The factory had been taken over. The total investment in various equipment plus the construction of the plant and rent, etc., was over $14 million. Because Mr. Paul and Mr. Roger did not support building a factory in Mossbourne, the factory investor in Mossbourne was Joanna alone. This factory was originally a foundry. Therefore, it only needed simple maintenance and imported production machines from abroad to maintain operations. Just like that, more than half a month passed. Joanna was still busy every day. Fortunately, Bruce did not come to pester her again. Although her days were busy and burdensome, she could still handle it. On this day, Joanna had just arrived at the company and had yet to enter the office. Cora came over with a shocked expression. Miss Haynes, something bad has happened. Seeing Cora's pale face, Joanna's heart sank. What is it? As expected, the Skywinds group and the Near-East group cancelled 80% of the order. What? Upon hearing this news, Joanna's eyes widened as if she had been struck by lightning. After all, she had built a factory in Mossbourne and had already invested a lot of money. It was also because she had the Skywinds group and the Near-East group's orders that she was more confident. But now that the two companies had cancelled 80% of their orders, the factory in Greyport alone could do it. There was no need to build a factory in Mossbourne at all. How did this happen? They said that there were too many negative impacts from the Haynes group. They were afraid that we won't be able to rush out the supply. Therefore, they cancelled 80% of the orders and continued to cooperate with the Everett group. Upon hearing this news, Joanna's heart skipped a beat, and she weakly fell onto the chair. Needless to say, it was Bruce who was behind this. If he did not put pressure on the Skywinds group and the Near-East group, they would not be willing to bear the penalty to cancel the Haynes group's orders. It had to be said that this move of his was really ruthless and sinister. Taking advantage of the fact that she had invested a large amount of money into the factory in Mossbourne, they cancelled the orders. This double blow directly made it difficult for Joanna to move forward. If the Skywinds group and the Near-East group had cancelled their orders earlier, she might not have opened a factory in Mossbourne and invested so much money. Oh, Joanna laughed speechlessly. She knew that Bruce would not let her have an easy time. This was only the beginning. She did not know what was waiting for her behind. She wondered how he would deal with Jaden. Seeing Joanna's cold smile, Cora looked even more worried. Miss Haynes, how can you still smile? Joanna laughed coldly. Her heart was like dead ashes as she said, what else can I do? Can crying help? Should we think of a way? We can't just sit back and wait for death. Joanna narrowed her eyes and leaned back in her chair in a daze. What else can we do? Why don't we go and beg Mr. Everett? Come on. Joanna sneered in disdain again. At this moment, Bruce was probably laughing secretly. He had only used some tricks, and she was in such a difficult position. It was as if he had hit her in her weakest spot. His goal was to wait for her to beg him. Things didn't work out on Joanna's side. Jaden was also having a hard time. His new movie was stuck. The movie could not pass the audition, so it could not be released. With an investment of over $20 million, if the movie could not be released, the money would be wasted. After thinking about it, Joanna still took out her phone and called Bruce. IVIUIT, 2UJUIT. Chapter 140. He could deal with her, but not Jaden. There was a buzz. Bruce's phone started vibrating. Bruce took the phone and saw that the call was from Joanna. Okay, this damn woman finally can't take it anymore. For the past month, he had been resisting the urge to call her, look for her. Unexpectedly, she had never called him once. She only remembered to call him when she needed to beg him. Hello, hey, it's me. What is it? Say it. Bruce raised his eyebrows slightly, pretending to be dark. Joanna paused for a moment and mustered her courage. Do you have time? Why? Are you asking me out? Quote. Yes, are you free? Can we meet? When Bruce heard this, his Adam's apple moved. This month, he had missed her so much that he had gone crazy. However, in order to take care of Roxanne, and jealousy of Jaden at the same time, he endured it and didn't go to see her. This damn woman didn't even send him a message. She wanted to talk to him now, but he was not going to agree to meet her that easily. He knew that she was begging him for the company. I'm very busy. My schedule is fully booked until next month. Just a meal. It won't take long. Joanna tried her best to sound calm, but her heart was already filled with anger. Well, forget about eating. If there's anything else, I might consider it. Mr. Everett, I'm looking for you to talk to you about the company. I'm sorry. I'm even less interested in talking about work. However, if you say that you miss me, I might consider meeting you.